Hey everybody, we're here at the No Coast Film Festival 2020 digital online event. I'm here, Gabe Moore, with Caitlin Slemp, the writer and director of, and she did a documentary filmed made in Wichita, Kansas. Passing it over to Caitlin. Uh, how, where did this project begin for you, and all of its context?
Yeah, so I was reading a article by from the Wichita Eagle, and it was talking about the Chung Report, as it's referred to. It's an economic evaluation that basically found that Wichita, when compared to the economic progression of other Midwestern cities of our size, that we were basically at the bottom of the list. And there was a lot of so James Chung, the economist that created and conducted the evaluation, he basically found some reasons to which he thought were basically to blame for the lagging of Wichita behind all these other cities in our growth. And it was, because there's not a lot of diversity in the leadership and the higher echelons of leadership, that women are not at the forefront at the table of the decisions that are being made, and that there's not a lot of diversity in just like racial minorities, as well as people leaving because of these factors, because there's not reasons for people to stay. And so, he had several specific calls to basically, like, if we want to progress, this is the things we'll have to do. And so I read the list and I was like, oh my goodness, like I actually know women that are doing these things. And so it was really powerful because I was like, I feel like people haven't followed up. They don't know that people are responding, whether it's, specifically to the Chung Report and the challenges that were issued. But people weren't, I just didn't hear the talk about people, making strides and making improvements. And so I was like, well, the story needs to be told. And so I basically decided I was going to feature 3 women. I featured Cindy Claycomb of the Wichita City Council, who's now vice mayor, and then the Lela Meadow-Conner of mamafilm, and she was the former executive director of Tallgrass Film Festival, and then Alicia Ybarra, who is the owner and founder of Vanya Designs, which is a custom couture wedding dress / formal event, gown studio on Commerce Street in downtown Wichita. And all of these women were doing specific things that were bringing more color, more diversity, and specific, campaigns, if you will, to make Wichita had just more to offer. And so I was going to base the film heavily around them and their structures and their families and their support structures, to really see like why are these women doing such amazing things? Like, what's motivating them? But then I started, seeing that there's actually a beautiful structure and network of women that are really all leaders that are pushing each other forward. And so I decided to shift kind of focuses, and I decided that I was going to interview 3 other women that I kind of ran into. And so I interviewed Lacey, Cruse, who's on the Sedgwick County Commission, Lai-L, Daughterty, she's the director of student engagement at WSU Tech, and then Andrea Hattan, who is she's the owner and founder of the Hive. All of these women are doing really amazing things in of themselves, but they also are just incredible supports for the women that I featured. And so I thought that was the more powerful approach, was to focus on the incredible network that is being built of people that are very different in like approach, like as far as like being entrepreneurs or being like, local government or just having like network, based businesses. I thought that was the more, impactful approach. So
I think that you're hitting the nail on the head. I was so when I frequent Wichita. I like to go down there. I have a lot of friends from Wichita, and I knew of a lot of places, and I even knew of Lela Meadow-Conner's with Tallgrass. Like had heard that name before this documentary, and it was really neat to see all the things that this group that you interviewed is contributing, and I got to attribute that to, you know, all these stories are there. It's just how are they being perceived, reached by people? You know, you have the classic case of a really nice restaurant that tastes wonderful, that's a well kept secret, you know, but it's great. It's kind of like that situation, and so I applaud you on your diligence to go out, interview, and make these stories heard. It was a very important thing, and I do believe that you tapped into the heart of that story there with doing that.
Well, and I think it's so easy to think that, you know, these women, because they're in different industries, they're not connected, you know, that we're all just kind of all doing our own thing. But, you know, I met Andrea Hattan, and we were talking, and she was like, oh yeah, I actually have a story about how Cindy helped me get some things done, which I featured in the documentary, about how she was able to get her bus bench moved so it could be more safe for the women of the Hive. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So you actually see, you know, like an actual example of how two women that are in this documentary helped each other, you know, and supported each other and listened to the needs. And so I think that, I mean, yes, Wichita is a larger city, but we are also very close knit, where people who are doing big things are also acquainted with other people who are doing big things. And I think that's really powerful because you have all, you know, you just get more momentum. So
I definitely understand you there. And I actually don't have any knowledge on it. I haven't heard the Hive. You've spoken of it twice with Andrea Hattan. Can you describe that, just so I can have a better understanding of what it actually is?
So I know I'm not going to do it justice as far as Andrea would explain it much better than I, but it is basically a place, a space where women can come who maybe have their own business, like their own consulting business, like a social media, you know, marketing business, or maybe they are even like selling Scentsy candles, or, you know, literally across the board, whatever business venture they have, they can come into her space that she has created, and they have board meetings. They have like a multimedia room that has ability for them to make podcasts or webcast streams. They have little areas that they can actually rent offices, or they can, you know, like they have so many. And she recently actually like expanded. So she's expanded upon her initial space, but it allows women to support each other again, while they're working in this like networking, co-working space. They can grow to expand their businesses and work to kind of be connected, but then they can also recruit the help of maybe someone that they met who's also a Hive member, and, you know, they can work to essentially like ensure each other's success business wise and just like social networking.
That's a wonderful way. I love the idea of the space and the businesses come in and the resources. It's so it's very helpful, because the hardest part of getting an idea off the ground is doing all the legwork that it takes to get a project off the ground. And I made a movie over the summer, and I know that feeling like, wow, I'm really out of my element. There's a lot of legwork in this process. So I completely understand from that aspect and wanting to help in that process, and that's really incredible. That's great. We had I was texted in a question. Was it difficult to narrow down who to talk to for the documentary?
So I started out, I actually, I personally knew Alicia of Vanya Designs, and then Cindy Claycomb. And so I talked with them, and then I kind of talked with some other friends who were maybe a little bit, knew some other people in the community that would be good candidates to be a part of this film. And so I selected Lela Meadow-Conner because I think her mamafilm concept is really, changing the landscape of what we think of when we think of the movies. You know, it's just a much more intimate experience, and you get to watch independent films. And I've seen some really incredible films there that I would never have seen, obviously, in the, you know, at the Warren or something like that. So I think she's really, it can really bring social circles together. And I think she's really incredible. So I chose her. And then basically I was doing a filming opportunity for Cindy, and then ended up meeting Lacey at a kind of a local fundraiser in Park City. And then Lacey talked about everything she was doing for the community. And I was like, wow, I really need her in my documentary. And then I was like, well, I know Lai-L, you know, she's very passionate. She's actually a part of the Young Professionals of Wichita W, and she's really incredible. And so I was like, I know I need her because she has a lot of very passionate, just passionate feelings for Wichita, and she constantly is putting it into practice. She's always being an advocate, and I really admire her. And so I knew I needed her energy. And then I met Andrea, actually. So there's some clips in there from Alicia and her fashion show that she did. And so I ended up meeting Andrea at the fashion show, and I asked if I could meet with her. And so we kind of like had a meet and greet type thing. And I asked her if she'd be a part of my documentary, and she said yes. So really, like, everything that I did was because I was constantly looking for ways to expand the scope. And I really did this film in a very short timeline. I started filming in August and had it done by December. So it was very quick, and I was very ambitious. So I would love to have included more women, but this is definitely not meant to be an exhaustive demonstration of what is happening in Wichita, but a mere snapshot of what is happening. So while it was hard to, you know, because I had more people after, you know, I had actually stopped filming that were like, oh, you should include this person. They're doing these are amazing things. And I was like, I would love to. However, I just don't have like the time to keep adding more people in, because obviously that is going to change the dynamics once you start adding other people in. So yeah, it was difficult, but I think it ended up as good as it could have been. So
it was wonderful. I like I said, I felt like it. I felt like it connected. It resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonated with many people. I don't know if you know him, Fritz Robinson. He's a filmmaker down in Wichita. He's who's documentary New Cinema Reflections of Old Flick and New Friends. He was the one right before yours, and he had a question. He wanted to know if you had future documentaries in projects in mind for your future.
I would like to add on to this. This one, I definitely wanted it to keep it like all women, because I think sometimes women are not seen as the primary drivers of change, you know? And so I wanted to really showcase that, especially in a generally more conservative area of the country, women are still really, they're in those seats making really important changes happen. So that was very intentional on my part, but I would love to expand that to other, you know, other people, other genders. So I have, it's like on my wish list. Right now I'm kind of in a holding state as far as you know, making new films, just partially due to COVID, and then, you know, other kind of life things happening. But it is on my horizons to make that happen, because I was very inspired by it. My love for Wichita grew, and my respect for everything that is happening here, it grew. And I think when you're constantly looking for really exceptional people, you'll find them. And so being able to tell stories is a huge gift, and it's why I love filmmaking. And so, yes, I would love to continue this on, and it will happen. Timeline wise is obviously a little to be determined.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in this, you hit the nail on the head there too. In the era of COVID, you know, you got so many variables at play that, yeah, I completely understand. Another question popped in, and it was pretty similar to a comment that you had made. Was are there any new and exciting businesses or projects you've heard about that you want to highlight in that next continuation or something of that nature? You know, have you heard something that you're like, oh, I'd like to talk to that person, you know?
I definitely have people in my mind. One that pops in my head just now is Jenny McDonald. She owns Jenny Dawn Cellars Wine. I want to say that she's one of the first like African-American women to own her own wine company. I don't know if that's like in Kansas or in the United States or anything, but I know that she opened up a wine, like a wine tasting room here. And she's super ambitious. She's got an awesome brand and I love her energy. I just really admire her and I would love for her to be a part of the next documentary. So I know I haven't talked to her about it. So, but as far as people on the radar, she's definitely one of them that I would love to incorporate and to, you know, have be one of the feature women.
Absolutely. And that sounds amazing. You know, you think about the numbers in this world and we're talking about equality, and it's astounding the numbers of, like, you think about women business owners, or you're thinking about women, just even African-American women business owners. That's like and that is insanely great that that's happening. And so that is definitely a good idea, I believe. So I wish you best of luck on that.
Thank you.
And I hope good things come from it. I had another question in here. I have a sheet I've just been making of notes and different things during our conversation, and I was, which of the relationships in specific with this project kind of helped form I would say, like, the initial part of the process? You said it was very driving and one thing kind of led to another. Was there a key moment that happened that helped with that?
That's a great question. I would say that every woman that I interviewed, because I did it very strategically as far as like filming schedule. Like I basically planned out all of my studio interviews, because at the time I was working at Digital Brand, which is a video production studio in the Grant Telegraph Center, downtown Wichita. So Eric, the owner, said that I could have access to the studio for those interviews. So he was very gracious to let me do that. But in kind of the process of filming, I got hired at W2 Tech to be their video producer. So I lost the immediate access to the in-studio interviews. So I decided I was going to only do the feature women as the in-studio interviews. So I did those basically back to back in weekends. And so and then I sifted through the interviews and really found out, okay, what bind these women together, even though they're literally all in different industries, like what bind them together? What are the motivators? What makes them tick? What are the secrets to success that they have? What qualities are making them successful? And so that was really the primary driver. Is all of them, or all three of them, were incredibly brave and risky in the way that they, you know, like opening a fashion design, you know, studio in Wichita seems kind of like out of left field. So my hats off are to Alicia for making that happen, because she has been in business for over 10 years, and that's awesome. Like she's a force to be reckoned with, and she is, where there is not one way, she will find another way. And then, you know, Lela, obviously, she grew up on the East Coast, moved to LA, you know, made her way throughout the kind of production scene in Hollywood, and then moved here with her friend Tim to start up Tallgrass. And I mean, obviously that takes a lot of risk. And so Cindy, she constantly was moving the needle as far as just getting into higher levels of leadership. And then she decided, you know, when everyone was like, oh, you're going to retire, she was like, actually, I'm going to run for city council, which is kind of like flipping, you know, the script on everyone. And so all these women, like, they constantly had times where they could have taken the easy way out, and they didn't. They decided to move the chains forward. And I like when you think of the things that are inspiring, like that is what is inspiring, because so often it's easy for us to take the easy way out, you know, but they had a mission, you know, and they had a very clear mission to make things happen, and they are making them happen. And so I think that was the defining factor, was they are so risky, but they committed fully to it. And so that's why I wanted to expand upon the amazing women that were happening. So I decided to obviously follow it up with 3 more interviews with other women who are also doing equally as incredible things with the same level of commitment and risk. So I think, you know, that's what is the most inspiring to me, and what pushes me forward is, you know, don't just because it hasn't been done before, you know, that's not why you decide not to do it. You do it because it's like what you're meant to do, or what you want to do, or what you see hope in. And so I think that is what really like gets me jazzed up about this documentary. Even now, even though I've seen it hundreds of times at this point. So
that's great. And come up and feel as passionate, you know, on that 100th watch. You know, that's when you realize that you're doing the right thing. It's a subject matter that you care about, and it's a true story. It lays a lot of beautiful stories out there, and it's gonna affect. It's gonna reach people, and that's, in my opinion, like, I feel like if I've reached someone with something, like with a part, I've done my job. And that I can only imagine is just a small sliver of how you feel, or you know, there, you know, in that regard. Or I'm starting to swallow my words there, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
um
Well, and I think another thing is just everyone knowing that they have stake in everything that's happening. Like everyone, like every person in Wichita has the opportunity to make something really incredible happen. And so I think like everyone seeing themselves in these women that are doing all assorted different things, everyone has a place and a path to make something really exceptional happen and help move Wichita forward. And so even if it's not in the ways that were expressed in the film, like there's other opportunities for you. And so I think that's what's really powerful, is there's so many different people, so many different roles demonstrated, that you can see yourself in that. Like anyone can see themselves in that film making really exceptional things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been made aware we're kind of winding down on time, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to take it away or to leave us with something. So do you have some final comments, something that just anything from the experience in general that you'd like to leave with the people?
I think we all, you know, we all in life, we're given a certain, like, you know, we're getting, you know, given like variables, things that we have to work with. And I think so often we can choose to kind of just like spend our days doing our job, or doing something like maybe like halfway. You can sit and watch Netflix all day, and, you know, that's fine. It's okay. But what if we do something exceptional? We work hard, we grind, we, you know, don't just stop at, well, this is good enough. We see, how can we be better? How can we be more impactful? How can we live with more purpose and more just drive? And that's what really fuels me, is never just being like, well, this is good enough. Like, how can I be more exceptional, and how can I reach more people and be more impactful? And so I think like whatever your medium is, whether it's like copywriting or filmmaking, obviously, or, you know, social media, or, you know, whatever, we can all be impactful, and people that are impactful for positive change. You know, there's so much negativity in the world, and I wanted to put something forth that was very positive. It still spoke about the change that needs to happen and the change that is happening, but it's still positive and is very hopeful. And I think that is the most important thing for me as a filmmaker, is to always be putting forth content that is hopeful and positive, and helps maybe make the world a little bit more positive place than before it was there. So
I agree with you and your sentiment there, and I really think you accomplished that with this this film. So congratulations. Good luck to you on your you're working at WSU, have a lot going on there, and that's exciting. I do wish you best of luck on your future endeavors, and hopefully that we get to see maybe a continuation on this. That'd be really great.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a great day.
You too. Bye.